Right, okay, video attempt number 2. So, I was just trying to make a video, but my camera seems to have succumbed to the damp. So, here I am, in my hammock, which is here. What? There's his bug nets there. There's Dan over there in his, you can see him, not really. And there is my bike trailer. Nice little candle. Those 2 pots are both titanium. One's twice the size of the other, and the bigger one's got a handle on it, which is good for hanging it off things like bits of wood like here, which is from last night's fire, as you can see was down there, and the remains of the wood. So I've got that stove at the top there, it's called the honey stove, and it's made out of those, well, it's made out of flat sections that interlock, so when you put it away it folds flat and it's quite light. It's pretty good. That one there, the little one, has got my mess burner in it, and that is also foldable, and it is made of titanium, so it's nice and light, and I can actually boil water in either of those pots. So the smaller cup is for cups of tea, so I just fill it up with water, boil it on there, brilliant. Then the bigger one I do things like porridge, which is what I had this morning for my breakfast, and pasta, and then eat out of it, so that's good. Over here, this thing is a windshield, foldable again, aluminium, and that obviously goes around fires, and it's, I wouldn't quite say necessary, but very, very useful, almost necessary. Made some milk, a dry bag thing, a rubbish bag, and another rubbish bag over there by the bike from a couple of days ago. Bike's got wet, unfortunately. Poncho hanging up, giving me a bit of coverage, because just over behind it in the other direction is the path with people walking down it. The tarp itself is strung up, so I've got a ridge line running from tree to tree, and then as you can see I'm hanging stuff off it, which is useful. I'm also hanging the tarp off it, obviously. The tarp is strung out on the sides with bungees, so I've got a bungee there, I've got a bungee here that's attached to my trailer, and the one in that far corner is attached to a brick. Similarly on the other side. If you look at the tree, I don't know if you can see, yeah you can see it, can't you? The tree, it's got that brown strap around it, which is kind of seatbelt material, and I think they're called tree huggers, and the idea of those is that they're wide enough so they don't damage the tree when it takes my considerable weight on it. So on the end of the tree huggers I've got a carabiner, which is that metal clip thing. Coming off that we've got these things called whoopee slings, which are made of climbing material, very thin as you can see, and makes you wonder if they'll support your weight at first, but they do, as have done so far. So yeah, that's that end. They're also adjustable. I've got the same at this end. Now when it comes to attaching the ridge line, there's a couple of knots that I use which I've picked up off YouTube, and they're very good. One of them secures it at the one end, and then the other end you kind of wrap it round the tree, then round itself and back round the tree, and then round itself and back round the tree, and then you do it up with the same knot you used at the other end. So that's kind of about it, really. I've got things like those are the side pouches for this British Army rucksack, which is a bit heavy, but it's very good. And likewise, that That is a British Army bivvy bag made of Gore-Tex, and I've got inside there, I've got a British Army Arctic sleeping bag, which is amazing. The thing about the idea with buying ex-army stuff is first thing, it's cheap and readily available off eBay, and the second thing is that when they make this stuff for the army, they make it to be tough and functional, you know. So that's why I bought it really, and it's proved its worth. So the sleeping bag, for example, I've used it in -4, and it has kept me lovely toasty and warm. Didn't want to get out of it, you know, for obvious reasons, but inside of it is beautifully warm. So yeah, it's all good stuff, cheap stuff. Sleeping bags, I managed to get one that said unused. I didn't fancy a used one, if you know what I mean, you know. Little soldiers rubbing their little winkies inside of it and all of that. No, thank you very much. So yeah, I managed to get an unused one. And that's about it, really, that's about it. Nothing more to say, you know. Bushcraft, as they call it, or playing with sticks, as I call it. Really, what it means to me is being comfortable in the outside. So, for example, yesterday we didn't intend to stop, and I was going to try and scrounge some water off Dan, but in the end we collected it in something else actually. Gosh, that thing there is called the kitchen sink, and all that water in there is rainwater. So I've been dipping my cup into it, and that's what I've drunk for over 24 hours. Boiled properly, but drunk it. So there we go, that's the inside of the hammock. And that's Dan. He's got a very, very similar setup to me, as you might expect. Haven't you, Dan?
What?
You've got a very similar setup to me.
I don't know.
No.
I know anything?
No. Those little carabiners are very useful as well. Cheap off eBay, light as nothing, light as a feather. Very useful. And the thing about what I find with all this stuff is that you need to be organised and you need to know where things are. And so being able to hang things up like that is very useful. I keep things in the same place as well, so I know where they are. It varies from trip to trip, but on a particular trip I will put, once I pick something up and I think that's in that bag, that's where it stays, because there's nothing worse, especially when it's dark, nothing worse than you know, not being able to find anything when you're making that all important cup of tea and you can't find your tea bags, and then you end up having to bloody pack everything or look in every bag going, and then you found out you were sitting on them, you know, that kind of thing. Those kind of things that get you frustrated like that are not helpful when you're outside. They're really, really not helpful.
Your head torch.
Your head torch, yeah, lighter or way of lighting the fire, your meths, tea bags, water cups, food, anything really, isn't it? You need to know where all of it is, so that you can.
Thing is about your head torches. You need your head torch to find
You need, yeah, you do, yeah. So you need to be organised, and yeah, you know. But once you are organised, I think the reason you need to be organised is because there's a certain amount of stress involved, isn't there? You know, a little bit. There's a little bit of stress. Once you've got everything set up and working properly, it's brilliant. But if you can't do that because you're not organised, then the stress levels can rise very quickly, because you might be a bit wet and a bit cold and a bit this and that and the other. And that's why you need your cup of tea and you need your hammock and you need all these different things. So when they're set up, they're great, but if you're trying to set them up and if you're tired after a long day cycling, it can be potentially stressful. So obviously you don't want to be stressed, you want to get in. sit down, have a cup of tea, make your dinner, get nice and warm, you know, relax, all that. And that's why you need to be organised. So, on that note, I will bid you goodbye until the next time. Bye bye.